"He who controls the swill controls the universe" was a phrase once uttered by a wise general. One that was a pig, actually. Pigs in war might not be something that you consider very often, but if it is, then your dreams would have come true in the year 2000. Published by Infogrames, but developed by Infogrames Sheffield House, which used to be known as a little backwater developer called Gremlin Graphics. I know, you probably haven't heard of them. Hogs of War trotted its way onto the original PlayStation. A turn-based strategy war game where everyone plays as a pig came about because Ian Stewart, who was the founder of Gremlin Graphics, saw the movie Babe and emerged from the cinemas infatuated by our little porky friends. Tasking his team with developing a game about pigs, lead programmer Jacob Habgood looked to the charts and saw that the two biggest games at the time were Worms and Command & Conqueror. So, Hogs of War is a bangers and mash of those gameplay styles and, well, pigs. You may remember a curly-tailed general mentioning swill. That is the reason these little piggies are fighting each other. Swine scientists, who must really love their jobs, have discovered a vast, untapped supply of swill in the region of Australasia in the South Pacific Ocean. Obviously, swill makes the world go round, so all the major nations are duking it out over 25 regions so they can control the swill, and yes, then control the universe. All the nations are based on those who fought in World War I, it's up to you to choose who you want to fight as. The nations of swine are loosely based on the UK, America, France, Japan, Russia, and Germany. And I say loosely based because this game goes hard on the stereotypes. If that's the sort of thing that may offend, be warned, but the humour is a bit of a product of its time and is, for the most part, harmless. It could be seen as a deep parody of war and oil and all the nations usually involved, but otherwise it's a cute game about pigs. Try not to analyse it too much. Being a game that's turn-based and revolving around the art of strategy, there are different ranks and combat types. While everyone starts out as a grunt, they have the opportunity in their careers to become gunners, orderlies, scouts, or engineers. If you do well in warfare or complete bonus objectives, you'll earn medals that can be used towards promotions. This will enable our porky friends to have better weapons, skills, and health points. The gameplay is reasonably unique, so fortunately there is a decent hands-on tutorial when you start that guides you through the basics. This is optional, so don't freak out if you're the type that likes to jump right in. As the manual states, pigs have a strong sense of fair play. As such, each soldier must calmly await its turn to deal death and destruction. Each level pits your chosen side against one other in an open but usually small map. Alternating between turns, each piggy will get a chance to make a difference in 100 seconds or less. Within that time frame, the piggy whose turn it is has the free roam of the map and can choose to inflict precisely one attack on an enemy without having to simultaneously defend itself. Kind of like chess, I guess. But in turn, once it's an enemy's go, they have the freedom to do exactly the same. Strategy, strategy, strategy. As tempting as it is to focus all your piggies on one pig from an opposing team, slowly withering away at their health points until moving on to someone else, this is not advised as having them conjugated makes them easy targets for those with explosive weapons. No, you'll want to employ basic tactics like keeping the snipers far away but with good views of the action, heavy gunners will need to be on the ground to do the dirty, and medics will need to be available and moving to treat whoever is in need. Things can go south very quickly if you're not careful, so planning is required. Pigs also explode on death, so don't get too close.
My speciality. Sir, permission to expire, sir.
This is not a game where you can go in guns a-blazing. You may have to repeat some levels a few times to develop a good strategy, which can be frustrating, but if you enter the game knowing that, it makes it a little bit easier. Luckily, the levels are very well designed, leading to many tense combat situations. There were plenty of turns of the opponents that induced anxiety as I helplessly watched the swine take up my last hope of winning a level. Since they generally run for 20 minutes or more, watching it all go down the toilet in a single turn can definitely make you miserable. Speaking of the levels themselves, I found the design to be terrific. There's quite a few considering how long a match goes for, and they're unique enough to be memorable individually, and never really feel repetitive, and always included fresh objectives. So little piggy hats off to you level designers, you've done a smack up job. The weapons have also been well thought out it seems, although a few are problematic to operate. Since a turn is finished once you attack, you obviously can't run and gun, but the aiming system does leave a bit to be desired. Shooting a gun is straightforward, but anything involving projectiles will require trial and error to figure out. They're controlled by adjusting meters for pitch and power, sort of like playing a golf game, and they really don't do what you'll predict they'll do for the most part, but hitting someone bang on once you get the hang of it sure is satisfying. There are also vehicles and artillery in select levels, although these are a bit plain. Even the artillery strike is a bit anticlimactic. The game makes a big deal about acquiring one, and after jetpacking over a lake, the results weren't that exciting. But hey, it's nice these sort of things are included in the first place. It's important in a strategy game to be given a few differing paths to level completion. Oh, and there's also a multiplayer mode which I completely forgot to check out for this review. I can't really give any opinions here, I'm afraid to say, but there are your standard survival and deathmatch modes, as well as the option to generate random landscapes, which I probably would have found cool if I actually bothered to check it out.
It all happened so quickly.
That's the spirit. Only a couple of them left now.
I've been skirting around a hog-shaped elephant in the room, and that is the dreaded Permadeath. Yes, don't get too attached to your pink minions. If you lose 3 in one level, the first of those to die will be gone forever. If you lose 4 of your squad, an additional piggy is destined to be a side of your scrambled eggs tomorrow morning. It's important to be careful. If too many of your promoted and advanced piggies bite the dust, it will screw you in later levels. It certainly adds an element of risk as you play. There were a few situations where I desperately wanted to pass a hard level, but I was in a situation where most of my piggies had died and it was a standoff between one of mine and one of them. Do I bite the bullet and let a few of my team die, or do I call it in and restart, having wasted 20 minutes of my life? It's a hard decision, especially when high-ranking hogs are at stake. As for the looks department, Hogs of War was panned a bit in the original reviews for being a bit basic. This is a non-issue now, as in 2019, all PS1 games arguably look the same amount of hot garbage, but in a good way of course. The levels certainly could do with a bit more set dressing however, opting for functionality over attractiveness, but the character models are nice enough. I also considered the menus to be quite slick. They must have really made an impression on me too. When do I ever mention the menus? Hogs of War is certainly original, but is it perfect? No, of course not. There are quite a few frustrations as you play. The long level playtimes and difficult to use weapons have already been mentioned, but controlling the hogs can be a total hog. You see, tank controls are in full effect here, whether you're driving one or not. This isn't the biggest issue since most of the gameplay doesn't really require you to move around in a timely manner, but this makes the jumping absolute garbage. Pigs also can't swim unless they're the rank of commando, and in a particularly frustrating mission, you're required to jump from rock to rock over a river since you parachuted onto an island. This was hands down the worst part of the game. The amount of health I lost just to get to the enemies made me a sad, sad man indeed. There is redemption however, and that is classic British humour and the late, the great Rick Mayall.
The importance of camouflage. Shape. You over there. Yes, you. There are no squares in nature. Break up those straight lines with natural foliage. Shine. Anything can reflect light, from the common belt buckle to the binocular's lens. See to it before it's too late. Silhouette. The shape of the head and shoulders are unmistakable. Even an exposed helmet attracts undue attention. Be inventive, cover up or take cover. Sound. You can make a lot of commotion while out on patrol. Noise can carry for long distances, especially at night. Become familiar with a silent routine in which hand signals replace the spoken word. Get it right, and they'll get the message.
As frustrating as it can be, having Rick Mail abuse you when a pig dies is oddly cathartic. There is a lot of potty humour though, and a lot of jokes and puns about bacon, but if you're into that sort of thing, I think you'll enjoy Hogs of War. I certainly did.
Take that, swine!
There was a planned squeakquel in 2008 for the PS2, Wii and DS, but this never saw daylight. Should also be mentioned that this was released on PC originally as well, so as such, can now be bought on GOG and Steam if you wish to play it on a modern machine. Alternatively, this PlayStation version is also available as a PS1 classic on the PlayStation Network, which isn't a bad idea considering, since this is one of the more expensive PS1 games to buy in its original form. Most listings on eBay as of recording were over $50, although I found mine in an op shop for $5.